Hi, my name is Gianna, and this is my presentation on Project 3 Sexual Harassment. So to start off, I made a group of my mom, my brother, and my sister, and we ended up going through all 4 scenarios of possible sexual harassment. We ended up going with scenario 2 just because we were more concerned about like the repeated behavior that was happening. And then our goal was kind of just to determine whether the scenario qualifies as sexual harassment. We wanted to identify what type and just create an action plan for the victim and to just reflect on our group discussion. So the scenario was a female student has asked a male student to stop asking her out on dates and to stop paying her compliments. He continues to sit next to her. She has not moved her seat, and he stares at her throughout most of each class, but he has stopped talking to her. So yes, this situation does meet the requirement for sexual harassment. The type is hostile environment sexual harassment, which according to the textbook Our Sexuality, Chapter 17, it's a hostile environment is seen as one in which a reasonable person in the same or similar circumstances would find the conduct of the harasser to be intimidating, hostile, or abusive. So this behavior in this scenario was repeated, unwanted, and disrupts her comfortability in the situation in the classroom in her learning. So the textbook also states that sexual harassment happens when people's actions create a hostile or offensive environment. And in this scenario, the scenario 2 completely matches the definition from the textbook, because the male student continues to give unwanted attention after being told stop and creates this like environment that's very uncomfortable and creates discomfort within her, and interferes like with her academic learning and success. So our group came up with an action plan on what to do for this female student. So first we all agreed that she should restate her boundary, go up to him again, confront him, and clearly write it down in documentation. Like, this is important. You have proof of what you want to do. You have proof of what you did. And then like second, she should also like document each incident, including like the date, the time, and what was said, what was done. So when she does have to take that next step, she has that information provided. And then third, she should move seats. Obviously, like, you shouldn't have to move seats, but in her case, if she feels uncomfortable and it's still continuing to happen, she should probably move her seat just to limit like the contact and reduce any like discomfort or uncomfortable situation. And then fourth, she should probably speak to the professor privately about what's happening. Going to an authority could also help bring the situation to light and stop it. And then also finally, if the behavior continues, she should report it to like the student code of conduct, the office, something that she can report to higher up if that professor or teacher isn't working with what's happening. So our group pretty much all agreed on the same thing. I mean, my brother was definitely just a little bit iffy on whether it was or not, because my brother is a little bit younger, so he kind of assumes that like sexual harassment is very straightforward, like someone getting followed or stalked, something like to the extreme. But once I read the definition from the textbook, we all completely agreed that that scenario was definitely to that definition of hostile environment sexual harassment. The boundary was completely communicated, like that she was uncomfortable, and it was also ignored and broken. There were there's no major disagreements between the group. We all agreed that it was pretty repetitive and pretty unprofessional, unconsentful behavior, and it would definitely have a negative impact on her learning. During our discussion, the gender differences came up because of my brother disagreeing at first. The woman in my group, my mom and my sister automatically saw that it was like threatening behavior and uncomfortable. And my mom even said that if my daughter went through that, I would take so many steps to make sure that she gets justice and what needs to be stopped. And now my brother did see that it was harassment. He did see it was uncomfortable. But he kind of said like it might just be him trying to flirt, which brought up like an idea of like women and men definitely think a little bit differently when it comes to flirting and boundaries for sure. So I would definitely conclude like that gender really shows like how this is interpreted and like influenced for sure. Conclusion, like from this project, I would definitely say that I learned, my group learned, my family learned that harassment's not always just physical. Sometimes it's just repeated behavior that like violates a boundary between two people or multiple people, which creates a discomfort over time. And then we also learn like that documenting things and like reporting them can protect like victims very early on and could help stop them feeling uncomfortable. So again, overall, I think and my group thinks that we came to the conclusion that scenario 2 is a clear example of hostile environment sexual harassment in an academic setting in a classroom. So thank you for listening. Yeah.